A 7-year-old girl waves goodbye to her parents, excited for her first overnight camping trip with a beloved uncle. 24 hours later, both she and her uncle have vanished without a trace, along with their entire campsite. For 5 years, searchers found nothing. Not a footprint, not a scrap of clothing, not even tire tracks. Then a daredevil's helmet camera captured something on a remote cliff face that would shatter everything investigators thought they knew about this case. What that camera revealed wasn't just the answer to where they went. It was proof that someone had been hunting them. I'm Shadows by Barry, and if cases like this keep you up at night, you're in the right place. Hit subscribe because today's story will show you how a single moment of footage exposed a predator who thought he'd committed the perfect crime. Before we dive in, this case involves the abduction of a child and contains disturbing themes. Viewer discretion is advised. August 14th, 2010. The Cascade Mountains of Washington State. A routine that had played out dozens of times before it was about to become a nightmare that would haunt a family for half a decade. But here's what makes this case different from every other missing persons case you've heard. The person responsible wasn't a stranger. He was someone they trusted. Someone who had been watching, waiting, planning. Era and Tristan Vance thought they had it all figured out. Married for 10 years, living in Seattle with their 7-year-old daughter Zariah, they'd found a perfect balance between family time and maintaining their relationship as a couple. The secret? Era's brother Paxton. 46-year-old Paxton, Cascade, was the kind of uncle every kid dreams of having. A skilled vehicle fabricator who could fix anything with an engine. He'd customized his white pickup truck with a royal blue dome tent that transformed the truck bed into a mobile adventure base. To Zariah, Uncle Paxton was a superhero, but Paxton was also rebuilding his life. A brutal divorce 2 years earlier had left him emotionally shattered. Recently, though, things were looking up. He'd started dating a woman named Isolda, and Era had noticed something she hadn't seen in her brother for years. Hope. The camping arrangement had become sacred in the Vance household. Once a month, Paxton would take Zariah on an overnight adventure in the Cascades while Era and Tristan enjoyed a rare date night. It was win-win-win. That Saturday afternoon, Era and Tristan drove up to the dispersed camping area to help set up. The scene was picture perfect. Dense fir trees surrounded a small clearing. The air was crisp with pine scent. Paxton, wearing his olive green t-shirt, sat grinning in the open tent, while Zariah, vibrant in her magenta baseball cap and purple leggings, perched on the tailgate next to a lime green sleeping mat. Era snapped a photo of them high-fiving, pure joy frozen in time. It would become the last image of them alive. The plan was simple. Paxton would call that evening to check in, then bring Zariah home Sunday morning. Era and Tristan headed to their long-awaited dinner reservation, finally getting that couple time they'd been craving. But at 9 p.m., when Era dialed Paxton's number, something was wrong. Ring, 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 voicemail. She waited 10 minutes. Tried again. Voicemail. Maybe they drove into a dead zone, Tristan suggested. The Cascades were notorious for spotty cell service. But this wasn't deep wilderness. This was an accessible area with reliable coverage. And Paxton was obsessive about safety, especially with Zariah. By 10 p.m., every call was still going to voicemail. The romantic dinner felt obscene. They had to go back. When their headlights swept across that camping spot an hour later, they found something that defied explanation. The campsite was empty. Not just empty of people. Empty of everything. The truck, the tent, the gear, all gone. It was as if they had never been there at all. By dawn, search and rescue teams were mobilizing across thousands of square miles of unforgiving terrain. Helicopters crisscrossed valleys and ridges. Ground teams combed through dense underbrush. The assumption was accident, a vehicle that had lost control and plunged down an embankment. But here's what made investigators' blood run cold. There were no skid marks, no broken guardrails. No disturbed vegetation. The main road showed zero evidence of a vehicle leaving catastrophically. The digital trail was equally baffling. Paxton's phone had gone silent at 3 p.m., right around the time the Van Cess had left the campsite. After that, nothing. No financial activity. No credit card usage. Complete digital silence. 2 weeks in, searchers found tire tracks leading off a rough trail toward a fast-moving river. The tracks appeared to match Paxton's pickup. Finally, a break. Dive teams deployed in frigid, murky water with near-zero visibility. For 2 days, they searched the riverbed with sonar equipment. When they finally located something large and metallic in a deep pool, the command center held its breath. Heavy lift equipment strained against the current for hours. As the object finally breached the surface, water streaming off rusted metal. It wasn't a pickup truck. It was a pile of illegally dumped appliances. The crushing disappointment was more than psychological. Winter was approaching, and with zero physical evidence to guide them, the sheriff's office made the painful decision to scale back the active search. 5 years passed. The disappearance of Paxton, Cascade, and Zariah Vance faded from public consciousness, becoming another cold case file collecting dust. For Era and Tristan, time stopped on August 14th, 2010. Zariah's room remained unchanged. Her 7th birthday became an annual day of quiet agony. But deep in the North Cascades, on a sheer cliff face thousands of feet above the valley floor, evidence waited. Evidence that would prove this wasn't just a disappearance. It was murder. July 22nd, 2015. Jared Bannon wasn't looking for a missing persons case. He was looking for the perfect line. Bannon was an elite wingsuit base jumper, part of a community that sought out the most challenging cliffs in the world. The spot he'd chosen was brutal, a massive granite wall with complex wind patterns, far from any civilization. Standing at the exit point in his bright orange and lime green wingsuit, GoPro mounted to his helmet, Bannon checked his equipment one final time. The overcast sky cast flat gray light over the dramatic landscape. He leaped into the void. Free fall. Then the wingsuit deployed, fabric catching air. He soared through the valley at over 100 miles per hour, hugging the cliff face, navigating the terrain with practiced precision. Mid-flight, something caught his eye, a flash of something that didn't belong. White and brown against a natural rock, located on a high grassy ledge, hundreds of feet below the cliff top, but still perched precariously above the valley floor. The glimpse lasted a fraction of a second. At his speed, he couldn't process what he'd seen. Just a flicker of unnatural color and shape. Back at his vehicle, Bannon downloaded the GoPro footage and scrubbed through frame by frame. When he found a moment and zoomed in, what he saw made his blood run cold. A pickup truck, mangled, rusted, tilted at an unnatural angle. The white paint stained with brown patches of rust and dirt. The cab crushed inward, front end smashed into the earth. Entangled in the wreckage, a piece of faded blue fabric. The position made no sense. There was no way a vehicle could accidentally reach that ledge. It would have had to fall from the cliff top far above. This wasn't just wreckage. This was evidence of something far more sinister than anyone had imagined. When Bannon's report reached the sheriff's office and they compared the footage to their database of missing vehicles, they realized they weren't just looking at an accident scene. They were looking at a crime scene that had been hidden in plain sight for 5 years. The high-angle recovery was a nightmare. The ledge was accessible only by advanced rappelling techniques down a sheer granite face. As the specialized team descended, they found the wreckage exactly as it appeared in the footage. The VIN confirmed it. Paxton Cascade's missing truck. But here's what changed everything. The truck was empty. No bodies. No remains. Not in the cab. Not scattered around the ledge. If Paxton and Zariah weren't in the truck when it went over the cliff, someone else had put it there. Above the ledge, investigators found a seldom-used service road. The perfect launch point. Someone had deliberately driven that truck to this remote location and sent it into the abyss. The forensic examination revealed something crucial. Deep horizontal scraping damage on the rear bumper. Embedded within those scrapes, metallic particles and specialized paint. Industrial-grade gray coating. High-grade steel alloy. Not standard automotive materials. The conclusion was inescapable. Another vehicle equipped with a heavy-duty push bar had accelerated into Paxton's truck, forcing it over the edge. This wasn't random violence. It was calculated, methodical. Someone with specialized equipment and intimate knowledge of the area had committed what they thought was the perfect crime. The killer had made one mistake. They assumed no one would ever find that truck. But they were wrong. And now investigators had their first real clue in 5 years. The specialized paint led investigators to companies using industrial coatings. When they cross-referenced that list with the case details, a chilling connection emerged. Paxton worked for a vehicle fabrication firm that specialized in exactly this type of equipment. Someone at Paxton's own workplace had the skills, the materials, and the access to build a murder weapon. GPS logs from company vehicles revealed a disturbing pattern. One truck had been stalking Paxton for weeks, learning his camping routines. On the night of August 14, 2010, that same truck traveled to the exact spot where the wreckage was found. The driver was a co-worker named Jasper Redcliffe, a brilliant but obsessive fabricator who had developed an unhealthy fixation on Paxton's girlfriend, Isolde. When investigators raided a remote facility Redcliffe had been leasing, they found something that defied belief. Zariah was alive. After 5 years in captivity, she was physically unharmed but psychologically shattered. The reunion with her parents was heartbreaking. She didn't recognize them. Redcliffe was convicted of murder and kidnapping, sentenced to life without parole. The case that began with a routine camping trip had exposed a predator who thought he could make 2 people disappear forever. Sometimes the most dangerous predators are the ones hiding in plain sight. Someone you work with, someone you trust, someone who's been watching and waiting for the perfect opportunity. What do you think about workplace predators and how they use their professional skills to commit crimes? Let me know in the comments. And if this case kept you on the edge of your seat, check out this similar case where a killer thought they'd hidden the evidence in the perfect place. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You never know when I'll uncover the next case that everyone else missed.